Welcome to my digital life. First things first, but not necessarily in that order. So we've introduced the new series, staked out our intent on where this dog and pony show is eventually going to go, preemptively cut off a few of the questions that would only serve to derail the proceedings, and even went into a brief history of how we got to this point in my digital life. And right now, I know exactly what you're thinking. Where the hell is the porn Rob? You promised us porn Rob. Video after video of hot, steamy laptop on laptop action Rob. When are you going to stop being such a goddamn tease and get on with the fucking porn? Rob. In spite of your definitively proving that you all have a collective attention span shorter than the time it takes a conservative Christian to reach orgasm after hearing the news of women and minorities being legally stripped of basic human rights, I suppose that it's about time that we get into some of the tools that I use as a part of my digital life. Wet your whistles, and be ready to spit on it, because it's finally time for me to reveal what you've all been waiting for. By which I mean yet another tangent about the history of my digital life, while also getting ahead of answering yet another foreseeable and unnecessary question. So how about you all just hakuna your tatas and get fucked for a second? So why laptops exactly? I switched my digital life over to the laptop side of the force sometime in mid-2021 so I could have my digital cake and eat it too. Until that point, I had been using desktop computers exclusively for at least a decade, which meant that if I wanted to do any online window shopping, create media for my YouTube channel or podcast, or go on Twitter to shitpost about beta male broflake billionaire man baby and colossal dickhead Elon Musk, I had to be tethered to the workstation in my home office. The same home office which happens to be several rooms and an entirely different floor of my house away from where my wife and son would be after I finished my 7 to 3 shift at my weekly 9 to 5. So I could either spend my evenings only using my phone for any kind of digital media consumption while my son monopolized the television and my wife would go about her crafty business, or I could set myself up with a lower-powered, if still capable portable computer that would let me game or watch movies or make videos or generally let me live my best life. Digitally speaking, of course. None of that live, laugh, love bullshit. For a while I tried making do with a Lenovo Chromebook but quickly decided that if I wanted something woefully underpowered and fundamentally incompatible with how I live my digital life, I'd just go ahead and use the MacBook Pro I was given following my initial 30-day macOS challenge. I then dusted off my old Dell G3 gaming laptop which I had as a backup system in my office. It was decidedly middle of the road in terms of power build quality and aesthetics, and the typing experience was less stable than Kanye West, but it was a reliable performer, and a bump up to 16 gigs of RAM and a new pair of cooling fans certainly helped bring back a little bit of luster to the performance side of things. Of course, there's only so much you can squeeze out of a budget laptop, and the hunt was on to begin the great technology upgrade of the 20s. Well, that and I received a promotion at work with a reasonable pay raise and was working a shit ton of overtime and had a little bit of extra cash in my pocket after making sure that all of the bills were paid and the family was clothed and fed. Now, for some reason I seem to have this incredibly bizarre superpower where people catch a whiff or a whisper from the universe that I'm on the lookout for some hot tech action, and all of a sudden I find myself either balls deep in offers from people to buy their own tech cast-offs, or people will want me to help them fix things that aren't entirely broken. And then while I'm fixing what isn't broken, they go out and buy all brand new tech of their own. Then either these people give me the tech I was supposed to be fixing in the first place, or sell it to me at such a ludicrously low price that I take them up on the offer because I can put the device to a specific use. And this is how I came to be lead curator at the St. Francis Xavier's Home for Wayward Laptops and Other Misfit Technologies. That part isn't even supposed to be a punchline. In fact, on days where I work on site at the Downtown Public Sector Hybrid Workplace Incorporated, I'm able to bring along my Surface Pro provided to me by my work, my personal Surface Pro running Windows 10, a Windows 11 laptop, a MacBook, an iPad, my Samsung Android tablet and a laptop running Linux, and still not be in possession of half of my total number of laptops, let alone computers overall. And as insane as it sounds for someone to have even that many tech devices on hand at any given time on the job site, all while only putting a modest dent in the total collection, even more insane is that all of these machines actually have their own purpose and are used on a regular basis depending on what I'm doing in a given day or week. And I'm going to tell you about every last goddamn one of them. Episode by episode. You're welcome. So, in keeping with the theme of first things first, let's begin with my main production machine, which is one of the cornerstones in my digital life in terms of media creation. This is my main production laptop, an Asus SCAR 17. It's a gaming laptop that's dripping with more RGB that you would comfortably want to shake a stick in the direction of, provided of course that you were of the stick-shaking persuasion. Hey, no judgment from me above and beyond the usual. The whole design language screams from the highest tower it can climb that it is the gameriest gaming laptop to ever game a game. It doesn't even have a single port available on the right-hand side of the device, so that there is nothing that could interfere with right-handed gamers and their mouse hand during the heat of an intense gaming session. And at the risk of triggering hardware nerds who couldn't keep their dick soft at a funeral, let's go over the basic specs, keeping in mind that we're not going to do any deep diving to see how far down the iceberg goes. As I mentioned in earlier episodes, we're only taking on the surface view. Just the tip. Just to see how it feels. It packs an i9-12900H processor with 16 cores and 20 threads that can turbo up to a workload shredding 5 GHz, along with 16 gigs of DDR5 memory and 8 gigs of dedicated video memory as a frame buffer for a full-powered NVIDIA RTX 3070 Ti. And just in case you had any questions whatsoever about how serious this thing was, just the power brick for this beast is almost as big in terms of physical dimension and heft as entire other computers that I currently own as of the time of writing this script. So yeah, it's got the hardware to bring the pain, but how does it handle what we keep coming back for more of? Well, with a 240Hz, 1440p display that's factory calibrated to display 100% of the DCI-P3 color space, you will be delighted to know that your porn will look better than it has ever looked on any laptop costing less than a decent used automobile, and the high refresh rate will ensure that even high bitrate and high frame rate Pornhub sessions will be free of any ghosting or smearing except for the kind that matters. And surprisingly for a laptop, the speakers don't sound like hot garbage, even when cranked while you're cranking away. The sound is not only loud enough, but also so immersive that you may even be able to convince your neighbors that you finally broke down and paid for a professional sex worker to ease those lonely nights. Obviously for the basement dwellers, your moms all know you couldn't get laid in a women's prison with a fistful of day passes, and they're probably used to tuning out whatever nonsense they hear through the floorboards while they contemplate how life would be different if they had been using name brand condoms all these years instead. So how does this porn consumption beast fit into my digital life? As mentioned at the top, this is the main production workstation. The only apps installed on this bad boy are for creating web videos, podcasts, or video and audio elements that are meant to be used as part of various web videos and podcasts. As much as this will deepen everyone's digital ball bag from a simple cerulean to a lovely shade of azure, this king among gaming laptops has 0 games installed on it. It doesn't even have Steam installed on it. I won't even load up a browser-based game on this bad boy. Every ounce of horsepower is on tap for this to be a workhorse system. Would it absolutely crush even the most heavily modded Skyrim installation, or ray trace the ever-living fuck out of Cyberpunk 2077? Undoubtedly. But that's not this laptop's special purpose. This mother of a laptop is where I take my finished scripts and set them in motion using iClone and Character Creator before taking the project into DaVinci Resolve for final editing and export. It's where I record or edit my voiceover work for my podcasts, as well as where I produce my ambient music tracks, complete with accompanying videos lovingly edited and rendered in Adobe After Effects, of course. Any of my recent live streams where you've been seeing the behind the scenes of how music tracks or animated videos are made. All done on this laptop with power to spare. If this were a video game item, something this powerful would have some kind of intimidating name like Former's Sword of Vengeance and would be the most OP boss-breaking weapon you could wield. Provided of course that you're ample and robust of lap. This thing is heavy AF and spits out hot air like Mia Khalifa spits out money shots, which is to say often and in great volume. This, of course, is to be expected when your power brick is a whopping 280 watts. And if Spider-Man taught us anything, it's that Peter Parker is a negligent prick of a teenager who ultimately killed his uncle through inaction. But it also taught us that with great power comes the need for great cooling capacity, which in turn needs beefy hardware and a lot of room. So surprise, surprise, this isn't a perfect laptop. This is a big, unwieldy, heavy, power-hungry, and hot-running beast of a portable computer with the battery life that has the staying power of a beer fart in a windstorm. I'd really like it to have another USB Type-A port or two, which isn't unreasonable to ask for in a device this large, and as good as the speakers are, I'd really like to have them go a bit louder before they start to sound compressed. Would really love to be able to add more RAM without it costing a kidney, but I can't fault Asus for that. Calling this a laptop is a stretch. However, calling this a desktop replacement isn't, as it already has all but replaced my top-spec desktop in my digital life. This is where the magic happens, and where the video you're watching right now was produced from beginning to end, including this snazzy dance number. Roll credits.
Take it off, you can high,